I'll record it on the computer. Cool. So welcome guys to the 90-day plan that it's a short workshop I've thought to put together for yourselves. I attended a full 3-hour workshop with Action Coach on Monday, and they're doing regular sessions like this. So if you do want to have the full-fledged one, you can do it through Action Coach. Whether you have to pay for it or not, I'm not sure. I know with certain businesses they're doing free trials and free opportunities at the moment, but you'd have to speak to somebody from Action Coach to see what would be on offer for yourselves. But I thought in the meantime, there's definitely things from there that I utilize with my clients anyways, and I thought, well, this would be really nice to offer to people in my own networks, even if it's like a mini taster version of it. So I will also give a lot of credit to Action Coach because the main idea and thinking is theirs. So, you know, don't want to get done for any kind of plagiarism or whatnot, but it is definitely inspired by themselves that I've took this forward to create a mini version, because not everybody has 3 hours to spare. Although I have to say the 3 hours went really quickly when you start taking part and interacting and doing the actual activity side of it, and where you're actually doing that work on yourself. I honestly believe, and I'm a stickler for this myself, I don't know if anybody else can relate. Sometimes we want to set goals for ourselves. We want to take that time out to reflect. We keep thinking, yep, I've got to do that to-do list. I've got to really crack on with X, Y, Z. And we never really get around to it. We procrastinate, we put it off. And then before you know it, it's like another day's gone by, another week's gone by, another month has gone by, and we still haven't really done that little checklist with ourselves or checking in with ourselves. So unless you're working with other coaches who are keeping you on track and keeping you accountable, sometimes it can get difficult and you can lose the momentum with yourself and your goals. So without further ado, I'll be sharing my screen now, and let me see, and hopefully you guys can see this fine.
Yep.
Can you see the full screen?
Yeah.
Cool. Because sometimes what happens on my screen, I can see that it's in the background, and then the pictures are actually covering the slides. So is that happening with you guys right now? Or is this the slideshow to one side?
There's no slides. There's just the main.
Correctly.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me do a new share. Let me actually just share my screen. That might be better. See, I'm still getting my head around how to do it. I see other people sharing it where it's at the side and the whole screen's not taken over. I think what I might need to do is do it this way. Hold up. And this way we're not cutting anything off.
No, earlier was okay actually when you actually
was that
shared
okay
it.
when I had it on full?
Yeah, because
I'll
we
go with
can
that
see
then.
yourself. Yeah, it's perfectly now.
Perfect. All right then. So 90-day plan, goal setting with myself, Suman Manghra, manifestation maven, mindset and empowerment coach, and of course, masters NLP practitioner and hypnotherapist. I've just put a little date timeline in there as well. Just helps me keep on track with my different slides that I do for different things. So first things first, why do we need to plan? So again, interact with this part if you wish to, if you've got any thoughts on this. What's your ideas or thoughts on why you think we may need to plan?
To put actions in place.
To put actions in place, yeah. Any other thoughts, Stephen, Sam, Rish?
So you know exactly what your goals are. You have to have a plan, otherwise how are you going to maneuver yourself from one place to other places?
Yeah. And is there any techniques that you guys are using at the moment to help with planning that you might want to share?
So I use I do goal setting using different tools, because all other tools are relevant, and some people are using the goal settings which is relevant to individual, how they, because I write down my goals in small chunks,
Yeah.
And then because you have a bigger goal, and then you have a medium goal or a short goal, depending on how you need to look at it, how you chunk it out to
Mm-hmm.
achieve those things, and schedule the time scales on them as well. So that's how I look at it.
Okay, that's great. So yep, absolutely right, Sam. There's so many different ways to do your planning and how you do your goal setting. I think a lot of people, especially like ourselves who are coaches, we have a lot of techniques and tools at our fingertips. I think generally speaking, people who don't work with coaches or don't work in the coaching field may not always have the right method, but they'll have their own process or method of doing their own set of to-do lists or things that where they're breaking down their bigger goal or bigger, objective into smaller chunks. So the spreadsheet that I sent you guys out, again, it's been inspired by Action Coach, so I'm not going to take the credit for that. But I thought it was really useful, and it was a really good way to really break down and knuckle down into little bits. So it has been edited, it's been enhanced a little bit and tweaked. And what I do is I'm just going to be working on one main goal today, because I think what took the workshop to be 3 hours with the main guys was that we were working on more than one goal. So by all means, use the techniques that we're going to use for the one goal for other goals as well. But for today, we will just be working on the one goal and what I was referring to as the lockdown goals. So that, the next 90 days, the next quarter, we're already, 4 months into this year. So we will be doing a lot of reflections today on what you've done so far in the quarter that's gone and what you want to do over the next quarter for yourselves. And ideally, we'll be out of lockdown by the end of that quarter is my thinking. But as you know, we don't really exactly know when that will happen. So that's that. So a few benefits around coaching. So I'm just going to shift my box over here so that I can still read what's on my screen. So a few benefits for coaching, and I've just thought I'd throw this in there because I think it's really linked a lot to planning and goal setting and can help you towards achieving your goals as well. So coaching can help you have that accountability towards your goals and objectives. You have the option to draw up a plan. You've got somebody you can discuss with, bounce ideas across with, brainstorm different options, and sometimes just check in with, my gut instinct is saying this, or I feel like this, or I don't know this. And somebody can sometimes just help you on the other side saying, have you looked at it this way? Have you thought about it this way? And just open up your mind to other options that you may not otherwise be able to see if you just see it from your own perspective. You'll be able to assess your strengths and limitations, work out what areas you'd like to work on. And then once you're clear on where you're heading, you can then get help as well by evaluating your progress throughout as well until you accomplish the goal. So every time when you have regular contact with a coach, you will keep checking in with them, see where you're at. Do you need to change what you're doing? Do you want to change your goal? Do you need to tweak anything? Do you need to reassess your short-term plan? So it's really good to have somebody to keep you on track with that and evaluate it and review it with you as you go along. And always remember to set a goal beyond the goal. So again, a coach can help you with that as well, of having those sub goals in between up to your larger goal, like Sam was mentioning. Oh, mindset. As you all know, I'm a mindset empowerment coach, so mindset is massive for me. And you guys that are logged on today are especially the people that I talk to a lot about mindset, as you all know. And a few pointers that I thought I'd share with yourselves was, you need to believe that you're in charge of your destiny. That way you can truly keep yourself accountable for the results that you achieve. Consider what will take you off track or get in the way of achieving your goals. If you know these now, you'll have you'll be much better at handling them when they crop up. So what I call that is having a game plan in place. So if you already know what might get in the way, what might throw you off, typical one normally be is if somebody wants to have a healthy regime and they know that TV or inspiration, lack of motivation might get in the way, you can already think in your mind what's a backup plan so that I don't fall into that trap. Have a little think about what other things you can do as well to maintain your momentum and your focus. List them down and revisit it regularly. So if you know that, when I can focus really well when I get up early in the morning and I have read my affirmations, you might think about, I work really well when I'm in a quiet space. some people are night owls. I work really well when it's late in the night. Whatever works for yourself, think about what it is, and keep reminding yourself. If you think sometimes you've lost your focus, you're going off on a tangent with yourself, just think, how can I steer myself back on course? Consider your daily routine. So like I was talking about, you know, first thing in the morning, having your affirmations. It might be that you're doing journaling. You might want to do some form of a workout. Some people, you know, like to mix it up with the mind activity and physical activity. There's something called the miracle morning, some of you may have heard of, which I'm going to start taking part in myself. And that consists of doing some exercise in the morning, doing some meditation, doing some journaling. A lot of people have received even better results when they do the similar things or the same things at the night time as well. So in the evening or before you're going to sleep, to like have a meditation in the morning and a meditation before you go to bed. Those kind of things can really help gear up your mindset, because the way I see it is quite self-explanatory. First thing in the morning is setting you up for the rest of your day, right? And when you're going to bed at night and you're doing your mindset stuff before you go to bed, when you're going to sleep, your subconscious mind is working magic and putting things into place for you, so that you're waking up even more refined and refreshed the next day. So do think about what is in your routine at the moment. And when you're thinking about that, the next part I've got here is, what are you feeding your soul and your subconscious mind? So this can be, what are you doing on a daily basis? Are you consuming a lot of news? Are you, you know, involved in a lot of gossiping? Are you, you know, constantly complaining? Or are you always like reading negative articles? Are you consumed on social media and just getting a bit sidetracked and a bit brainwashed with everybody's opinions and thoughts that are coming at you? You know, we like our stimuli and we like being stimulated in different ways, but sometimes there's such thing as overload, and that can take us and knock us off course from where we want to go and where we're heading. So really, really think about, it's your responsibility. You know, right at the top it says, believe you're in charge of your destiny. So if you're in charge of what you're feeding your soul, you're in charge of what you're feeding your subconscious mind, you're in charge of your daily routine, and you're in charge of maintaining your focus and your momentum and all those other things we've just spoke about. So everybody okay with that so far? Is there any questions or thoughts?
Oh, that's fine.
Good, cool. So this was something that I've come across. You may or may not have seen it previously, the Kubler-Ross, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, the Kubler-Ross grief cycle. Now, with everything currently going on in the current climate, this is something that we are all dealing with. And the cycle tends to say, the grief cycle works this way. You've got your denial to start with. So, you know, there's avoidance there, confusion, shock, fear. Then there's a form of anger, there's frustration, irritation, anxiety. Then you can go through a little dip, which is demonstrated on this graph here, the depression, where you feel overwhelmed, a bit helpless, hostile, you might be in the flight mindset. But as you start dealing with it and you start coming to terms with things, you start bargaining, you're struggling to find meaning, you reach out to others, you start telling your story, and you start, you know, understanding what's going on. And then you get to the stage of acceptance, where you're exploring options, you're making a new plan, and you're moving on. So what I'm really hoping is that now we've been like over a month, well, it's coming up to a month, isn't it, from lockdown. Majority of people should have gone through this cycle. Obviously we have our different paces and ways of working with this, but for myself, I know I definitely have gone through these. I think my denial was only short-lived. My anger was very, very short-lived. That's something that I've been working on recently. Me and Stephen talk about this a lot as well, about doing a pity party. So keeping our time that we're like annoyed about something or something's thrown off guard, we don't sit there and dwell on it too long, because we're aware of how it impacts ourselves on a daily basis. But there has been forms of anger for certain things, and frustration. Definitely, maybe not anger, but there has been times that I've had frustration and irritation. I've had a dip as well. Again, I'm not superhuman. Just because I'm a coach and I work on mindset, I still go through the motions like everyone else, maybe at a different rate and speed, but still do, you know, go through the motions. So there was a dip, and you're feeling a bit like overwhelmed with everything going on, and like I said, all the different information coming at you. You know, we came through a point where everybody was sharing so many things on WhatsApp. You put the news on and it's constantly talking about the same thing, so it did get overwhelming. And then, yeah, started going towards a point where now I am at acceptance level. I'm exploring all these new avenues. I'm working out different ways to do things. I'm seeing what are my opportunities rather than the threats. You know, if anybody's ever heard of that in the SWOT analysis that businesses normally do, you know, you look at your strengths, weaknesses, and then you look at opportunities and threats. So let's focus on the opportunities now. And this is a time for this 90-day plan for us to start putting a plan in place if you haven't already, or getting fine-tuned with a plan you might already have, and start really breaking it down, and we can start putting our energy and our focus on that, because as we all know, where your energy flows, you know, that's where your focus will go, or it's the other way around. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. Either way, that's, you know, they work hand in hand together, and you want to keep your focus on your objectives and your goals, because that's how you will reach it quicker. You know, a lot of the work I do in the manifestation world is around how can you achieve your goals and objectives and materialize those things quickly, and being in alignment, having a plan, all of those are part of that. At the bottom it just says as well, going through the cycle, you've got the information and communication, emotional support in the middle, and then the guidance and direction. So I'm of course here to offer that guidance and direction at this stage. So moving on, something that sometimes can get in the way for us lot is fear. And it's not always the only thing, but it tends to be, especially with the clients I've worked, it tends to be when you peel the layers back, the underlying issue is that there's some kind of fear associated to why someone's not taking action towards something that they want, or they're not taking those steps that they need to be taking. So it could be that you're fearing failure. It could be that you're fearing rejection. It could be that you're actually fearing success. So if you actually do achieve what you want, you know, what could have come with that? I remember watching this documentary once on billionaire lifestyles. I'm just gonna mute you guys so that it doesn't distract from everybody. Sorry. So yeah, it's lost my trail of thought now, but I was just going to talk about, yeah, a billionaire program that I was watching. And when these people become, you know, amass all this wealth, and they achieve their millions or their billions, their biggest worry is losing it. They're thinking, now I might lose this. I've got to put in things in place now to make sure I don't lose it. Or they're worried about people wanting it from them or taking advantage of them, or going into relationships where they don't even believe that the person's with them for them. They think they're with them for their money. So there might be various fears attached to what we want to achieve for ourselves. Sometimes we just fear that there's going to be difficulties we're going to have to face, and we just don't want to face those difficulties. We know that it could be challenging, and we kind of maybe don't want to face that challenge. And then change is the common one. A lot of people like status quo. They like going with the flow. All of a sudden now we've had this lockdown, people haven't wanted to be part of it, and next thing you know, it's you know, it's hit us in the face, and we've have to cope with that change all of a sudden. And after having to cope with that change, it's like it makes us feel a bit unsettled, a bit, you know, out of balance with ourselves and our normality and our routine. You know, we're creatures of habit, we're creatures of routine. But what I really truly believe is that it's when you change those routines and get out of that comfort zone, which I'm going to touch on later on, is where the magic happens, and where you can actually start really achieving change for yourself in a good way. Change doesn't have to be bad. Change can be good. And I always say to people, look at things from a positive point of view. The glass doesn't have to be half empty. Look at the glass half full. Or if anything, in my case, sometimes your glass is full if you want it to be. Why does it need to be half empty? So some people use the acronym here of fear being false evidence appearing real. So if you go with that and you think, well, if I'm being, you know, afraid of failure, if I'm just thinking that there'll be fear, I'm making it real for myself, but it's not necessarily real. It might be just an illusion in my mind. You know, so have a little think about that. If there's any fears that you currently have, you might want to write it down on the pens and papers that you've got. What kind of fears are you currently feeling at the moment, if any? It might be that you're not, but majority of us, being typical humans that we are, we tend to have some niggly underlying fears sometimes. Now, whilst I was looking for acronyms for fear, I did come across another one which I quite liked, and I thought I'd share this with yourselves as well. So fear has two meanings: forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. So think to yourself, what's your choice? Do you want to run away from what's going on and not face it, keep procrastinating, keep pushing things back, pushing things away, not taking action, and then this time next year you're in the same boat, if not maybe 5-10 steps back? Or face everything and rise, start gaining momentum, start moving forwards, and then by this time next year you'll be in some amazing new space. Think about that and think about your part that you play in which way you're going and what direction you want to go with what choice you make. So, as I said, I was going to touch on the growth cycle. I really love this image, so I had to share this. So, going from your comfort zone, so being a little donkey, going all the way up to growth zone of being that unicorn, being full of magic and majesticness and achieving things. So, just talking through this different phases, we've got the comfort zone. You feel safe, you feel in control. This is what I was touching on with regards to being in your normal habits. So, you know, you're just used to doing the same thing day in, day out. You've got that routine going. You're familiar with it, so you feel comfortable with it. We don't want the change. When you start going outside of it a little bit, you hit the fear zone. So this is where you lack the self-confidence. You might be finding excuses. You're affected by other people's opinions. But then as you start coming even more out of that zone, you get into the learning zone. You start dealing with challenges and problems. You start thinking about new skills you want to get. You start extending that comfort zone and trying out new things. And then you get eventually into the growth zone. You know, this is where you're finding your purpose, you're living your dreams, you're setting new goals regularly, you're conquering any objectives and issues. And you start looking towards having results rather than the excuses that are in the fear zone. So touching on that as well, that kind of made me think about this circle of control that we have around us. What other things can you think of that you can control? I'm just going to go into the speaker view. If anybody wants to share any thoughts, just let me know. You can put your hand up, you can unmute yourselves and share. What do you think are things that we can control?
Our mindset.
We can control our mindset. Yep. Anything else?
The way we react to things.
Okay. So our own response, our own reactions.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Things that we own. Anything else? What can we control that's going on in our world right now? If anybody else wants to join in, feel free to, don't be shy.
You can control what things will affect you and what wouldn't.
So expand on that a little bit more.
It's a bit like you sort of should know yourself what your limit is and maybe what's relevant and what's irrelevant.
So kind of assessing your skill set and working with what you have kind of thing. Yeah, that's good. Right. So my next one was about what else might there be that you might not be able to control. So what can we not control?
Your environment.
Things going on around you, yeah.
Other people.
Yep, we can never control other people. We try to. Sometimes I do. Ask Wish.
He's not answering. He knows.
But yeah, what else can we not control? If you can think of anything.
The weather.
Other people's behavior.
Yeah, things like the weather, people's behavior, yeah. And what I'm going to put this up in a moment that I'm going to go through, but what do you think that you can do to remind yourself about the circle of control next time you feel like things are out of your control? What kind of things could we be doing? I'll just put the image up as well, actually, because I think that will help. You don't have to share it. You can just, if you want to just think it to yourself. If you do want to share, you can share.
What's the question again?
So this last one here on the slide. So what will you do to remind yourself of this circle of control? So the circle of control that I've shared here, the image, is this one where there's the inner circle, things I can control, my words, my actions, my ideas. my play, my effort, my mistakes, my behavior. What I'd even want to add in there is my self-talk. I think that's massive. So things that we can control is what's going on with us inside ourselves. And then things outside of my control is other people's actions, other people's words, their behavior, their mistakes, their feelings, their thoughts. So that's just a limited, you know, amount of things that we can't control. But it gives you the idea that you can't control what other people are doing, but you can control what you're doing. So now that we've just covered that, now going back to my question, next time you feel like things aren't in your control, what do you think you could do to remind yourself about this circle and reminding where your control is?
That really, you're always in control
of yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I'd like to put it down to that you're responsible for your results, you're responsible for your actions. Just always remember to take that ownership and that responsibility. It can really change your mindset and your feelings towards things going on. Sometimes there might be a lot of, if you don't mind me saying, a lot of BS going on in your life, personal life, in your relationships, in your workspace. I know a lot of the conversations I've had with a couple of you guys, you know, there's always stuff going on for all of us. But we just have to always think, okay, I can't control what other people are saying and doing, but I can control how I respond to it, what my actions, what my thoughts, my feelings are, what my behaviors are. Now, there was another image I came across which I found quite hilarious, so I did want to share this one, just to give another perspective on it, just to give another angle. I always like this, reframing things. Again, you guys know me really well. I'm always constantly changing the way I look at something or finding another example. This was another example. My son's mustache. I can't control my son's mustache, but what I can control is how much time I spend worrying about my son's mustache. So that's how I think about Rish's beard at the moment. You know, how much time am I going to spend worrying about it? Is it worth worrying about it? Because I know that's what I can control. There's no point in me worrying about that. So have a little think about what kind of things are you maybe spending time on doing, things that aren't in our control, where we're really taking our energy and our focus away from what we really should be doing. Right, now it's time for you guys to do some work, because I've been talking loads and I want to crack on now. We're talking through our worksheets because I know you guys are really, you know, dying to jump in and dive in with it. So if you've opened up your files, you should see that there's different tabs available on the spreadsheet. So for Bali, I know that you've had a few issues opening the document. I hope that everybody else has been okay to open it. And I'll talk through it. So as you can see, the first one is all about reviewing your success. So looking at recent achievements. And when I say recent, I don't just mean this month. I mean, think about from January, think about your achievements so far. So your results are solely in your hands. You have to take ownership and responsibility for your habits and your actions. Reaching and achieving your goals is the best habit to develop. So reflect and identify 6 biggest achievements of the last quarter. So this has been broken down into 3 sections. Listing down what your key achievements are, what were your key achievements, so just list them down. Then really thinking about why did you achieve that? So what do you attribute your success to? What could it be that was going on that made you get that success? So again, if anybody wants to share an example, feel free to, but I want you to spend the next 5 minutes or so, 5-10 minutes I'll give you guys to really write down your key achievements, to really think about it and write down things. So for myself, for example, I had that I launched my Success Mindset event online, you know,
Woohoo!
Yay! I've successfully been able to, you know, join the BNI network and attend my regular weekly meetings with that. You know, I've been able to engage with people online even though I'm on lockdown. So you could have various types of things that are achievements for yourselves in your own ways. So I'll spend a few minutes now. I'm going to mute myself, and I am just going to give you guys those times. I'm going to turn my camera off as well and have a little think. So for your benefit, Bali, I'm hoping you can see the screen for the slides.
I can, yeah.
The screen that's being shared. and you've got why have you achieved that, and then the last bit being further actions then. So any other specific action points. So for example, I'll just talk through an example of mine. So I achieved my success mindset event. What do I attribute that to? I attribute that to that I was really keen on getting going with it. I didn't want anything to get in my way of stopping me from achieving, you know, the support that I wanted to give the people that were on the mindset event, as well as giving everybody else that was building up their hopes towards something. You know, I didn't want to let people down. So that was something that I attributed to that I wanted to make sure I kept my promise, I guess, to people and to myself. And so further action on the back of that is me thinking about, do I want to do another success mindset summit? How would I do it? When might I do it? Do I want to do a monthly one? Do I want to do a quarterly one, annual one? That kind of thing. So break your own achievements down in that way. And like I said, it's 6 minutes past now. So I've been talking for the last couple of minutes. I'll give you guys until 10 past, and then I'll just check in with yourselves of how you're getting on with writing your goals. Right, guys, so I'm guessing you're still in the middle of writing those. Again, if anybody wants to share anything, feel free to. If you've got any other questions or thoughts at the moment.
Okay, I could only think of 3.
Okay, if you do,
Apologies.
does anybody, first of all, does anybody need any more time before we move on to the next bit? Let me know if you need a couple of more minutes. Okay, Rishi was saying you've thought of 3, yeah?
Yeah. Okay, first one. I volunteered for the NHS responder service for the coronavirus pandemic.
Yep.
So basically, I'm contacting isolated people and just giving them advice and guidance and reassurance. The reason I did this is because of my mindset, because I work in social care anyway, and I just want to help people. Because if we don't help people, then not doing justice to ourselves.
And any
and my further action is,
yep.
My further action is just to commit the time around work to it until this crisis is over, hopefully in a matter of weeks or a couple of months max.
We'll see about that. Yeah. Okay.
Fingers crossed.
Cool. No, thanks for sharing. Anybody else got anything that they'd like to share, or any insight they've had, or something that they hadn't thought of before? No? Okay. Well, I'll move on to the 90-day goals now. So the next tab across is setting your actual 90-day goals. So I've got a little quote I put here about, without goals and plans to reach them, you are like a ship that has set the sail with no destination. And I feel like Sam touched on this a little bit at the start when we were talking about why we need to plan. You need to have a destination and you need to know how you want to get there. So without that, how are we going to get there? A bit like our GPS systems. If you don't put a postcode in there or a road, it doesn't know where it's going, and it'll take you all around the block and all around the bend if you're not on track. So I've left space in here for 4 goals, although we're just going to work on the first one for the must achieve goal. But if you do think of other ones for now, there might be a personal goal you want to work on. It could be a health goal, a business goal, a financial goal, a spiritual goal. So I've got a couple of other boxes there. Feel free to edit them if you want to change what's written in them. Again, the next tab along is then breaking down that must achieve goal, but feel free to create your own tabs and copy and paste it across so that you can work on your other goals as well in the same manner. So I thought, as long as you've got the template there for the one goal, you can apply the same principles to your other one. So again, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to just think about what is your must achieve goal. You know, this is at a very high level, because don't forget, as you go to the next page, which if some of you do it quickly, you can just start working on the next page. But think to yourself, what's your main must achieve 90-day goal? You really have to get this in the next quarter. Then if there's additional goals you'd like to work on, you've got that space to write them down. When you get to the next one, the must achieve part, this is where you've got your whole breakdown. So there's a little quote in here I put as well about your ability to discipline yourself to set clear goals and then work towards them every day will do more to guarantee your success than any other single factor. So underneath that, we've got entering your appropriate information in the white boxes and the cells. Decide on your goal for the next 90 days. What will happen is that whatever you write in that box for the tab in front, so if I just put here, I'll show you what I'm doing on my screen. When you go to the next one, it comes up at the top there. So your goal will automatically get populated in the bottom section here. So whatever you write in there. Okay, so when you copy and paste it across, again, you're going to have to copy and paste your goals for those ones, because the formula is not going to be in those tabs unless you're very tech savvy. You can create your own formulas. Right, so when you've got your goal written down, the breakdown of it will be looking into what is the real goal. So if there's anything else there that you want to add, but that should again auto populate for you what you put as your goal. Underneath that, How will you track or measure it? You can start now, how really deep diving. How are you really going to track it? You know, everybody talks about SMART goals. They have to be specific, they have to be measurable. So how is it going to be measurable for you? Then this is a really interesting one, and this was one that I absolutely loved, and something I do a lot with my clients. Why do you want to achieve it? What's your real reason of why you want to achieve those goals? So, you know, have a think about that. What's the true, you know, underlying wish? What will it mean to you? Because sometimes you don't realize what it would really mean to you when you until you really think about it. And then these are a few that I threw in myself. So this wasn't by Action Coach, but something that I thought about for myself, and I thought worth giving you guys. What impact will it have if you achieve it? So what will be the impact? It might be impact on yourself, on your mindset, on your finances. It might be impact on your relationships. It might have the impact on the community. It might be impact on the world, depending on whatever your goal is. But what impact will it have if you achieve it? What will that difference be? And likewise, what's the flip side of the coin? What will happen if you don't achieve it? What is that worst case scenario? How will it affect your mood, your mindset, your health, your finances? Again, the same things that are impacted if you get it, those things will be impacted if you don't. So think about that. And then the best bit, what I loved, was the reality. What is holding you back? What is the situation now? And you know, there was a couple of things that I put down when I was breaking down my goals and why I haven't achieved it yet. And it was really surprising because one thing led to another. I thought to myself, first of all, that, oh, it's, you know, it's the overwhelm that's really holding me back. There's so many things to do. I feel like I'm spreading myself thin. Then I started feeling like, I feel like it's the energy of the house. I don't like being at home all the time. I like being out and about. Not being able to socialize with other people is bringing my energy down, so not letting me achieve my goals. And then I thought to myself, what is it that I'm thinking here right now? It really made me realize that if I keep using these as my reasons of why I'm not doing what I need to do, well, I don't know, I might be in lockdown for the next 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year. If being in the house is going to impact me achieving my goals, then I'm really holding myself back. So to switch that, I realized I need to get out of that BS I'm telling myself and realize that actually wherever I take my energy, if my energy is good, no matter if I'm in the living room, the back room, or out of the house, the energy is good around me. So I've really started thinking and deep diving about actually what bullshit am I telling myself? What excuses am I making? What things am I putting in my way? What am I putting in place to make them as you know, relevant excuses of why I'm not doing what I need to do? And really, what's the truth behind it? Are those excuses good enough? Are they real? What's the opposite of those? Like I said with my example about the energy of the house, or where I was feeling overwhelmed, I was thinking, well, what's the flip side of that? Is I don't need to feel overwhelmed. If I break things down and do things bite size, you know, make a checklist, think of 3 main things I want to do a day, I can get rid of that overwhelm and that, you know, mountain. And then once you've put those parts of information down as well, again, feel free to edit it if you feel like you need to add more reasons in, and that just play around with it as you need to. But then at the bottom, you've got 3 separate sections. So this is the action you're going to take now. So once you've really broke down why you want to do it, what's the real reason, what's getting in your way, and how you're going to tackle that. How you're going to tackle that will become your action steps. So this is where you're going to start putting down, again, use the spreadsheet for this, your strategies, your tasks, or your actions that you're going to take. And again, start brainstorming with yourself of the different things you need to start doing now. So I know I've been talking over those 5 minutes I wanted to give you guys. I'm hoping whilst I've been talking, you've been thinking and working and doing as well. So if you've filled in the 90-day goals at the higher level, start working on this now. I'm going to give you guys, I'll give you guys 15 minutes on this. You know, it would have been a lot less, but I think, actually, I'll give you 10 minutes because I'm just mindful of going through the other last few bits. I'll give you 10 minutes and I'll check it back in with yourselves. I'm being cheeky, really. I'm going to give you 9 minutes because I'm a bit of an OCD person. So past, I will check back in with yourselves. Don't forget, you can always revisit this, and the purpose of this, you know, recording I'm doing as well for other people's benefit in the group is you can always come back to it and check in and add to it and tweak it as you need to. But really take this time out for yourself to really break down, why are you writing that goal for yourself? What do you really want to achieve out of it? And what are your action steps and your strategies? Okay. If you think of any other questions or thoughts in the meantime, I'm still here. Feel free to unmute yourselves and let me know, or use the chat box and just type it in the chat box. Okay. Hi again, guys. I know we're not quite at past, but I'm thinking that you guys will be starting to write your actions now on the bottom of your goals. Something that I forgot to mention, so I thought it's best time to just sneak this in now. So next to the actions, you'll notice there's a little box that says who. So what I mean by who here is there anybody in particular that you need to be involved with this action? Is there some specific person or types of people who maybe somebody or something that you need to be getting involved with or speaking to, or it might be a phone call that needs to be made, or somebody that can help you with a certain task. So that's why that box is there. It may not be relevant for every action you put down, but for some of them there might be somebody you think of that, oh actually, I really need to, for example, I really need to get in touch with the bank for something, and then you think who, so you put down your bank name, for example. And then next to that, I've already got it automated, the dates for yourselves from today's date. Well, it's not even today's date. Edit it and change it to today's date. I don't know why I put it down as 21st. I'm clearly a bit lost with the fairies, ain't I, today? But change it. You can manually just change that. So I'll show you here, for example. Just change it to, just type in 23rd of April. It'll automatically reset the dates for you on a weekly basis. And then just think in here, and you don't have to write, you can either write something in here, or what I prefer to do is just fill out the block in a color of your choice. I always like my manifestation Maven colors, but yeah. So you might think my first task I need to do is write up key to-do list, and you think I'm going to do that, who will be just me, and then I'm going to get that done today. So I'm going to get that done this week. But then something else might be that, I don't know, create a YouTube video. It's just me just thinking out loud. But then I'm thinking I'm not going to do that straight away, but that's something I want to do by the beginning of May. So then I will then fill that box in, and that's where my plan is. So have a little think of where you want to kind of, where it should fall in, of where you're going to do that specific task by, what's your target and your aim and your deadline for that. So yeah, we're slowly heading towards past now, so kind of just checking in with yourselves now where you're at and how much do you need any more time. I mean, originally this session was meant to be an hour and a half, but we did start a little bit later as well, so I'm hoping you guys are still okay to stay with me. If you do need to dip out, you've always got the replay you can come back to, but it'll be great if you've got time now to, whilst you're in the flow and in the momentum of doing this, getting this done. So feel free to unmute yourselves, or again, if you want to write any questions. I don't know if anybody's put anything in the chat box. Nothing's come up on my screen. You guys are just really intensely writing down your action lists, I'm guessing. And is anybody who feels free to share some insight that they've got after doing this task and writing down these different things about how you're going to crack it, why you want to achieve it, impact that you're going to have, what's your reality? Has anybody had any breakthrough moments, light bulb moments?
So it really makes you think, like actually like almost like have a mental system in place.
Yeah.
Which I never done before, so this is all new to me, but it's actually making me revisit stuff and actually think, actually, how am I going to do it? Almost like a step-by-step approach.
Yeah. And I think that's sometimes what's always missing when we have these big plans and then we don't think about the little steps that it's going to take to do the big plan.
Yeah.
It's almost like whenever you go on Google, like I keep giving this analogy, but I think it works really well. You go into Google and you want to check your directions to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And when you actually break it down, then it breaks it down. Like originally, it just tells you the high level about catch this train to this place XYZ and catch this bus, for example. But when you actually break it down, it shows you all the little steps and says it's going to take you this many minutes on the train. You know, this is a step, this is a stop you need to get on at, this is a stop you need to get off at, this is where you need to change, this is where you need to walk to the stop. It's going to take you this many minutes to walk to that stop. This is where you need to then get onto this whatever bus, and then you need to wait this many stops until you get off. And it really is those little steps in between to get to that destination, I guess.
Given your example, it's almost like one's an action plan with a result and one's just the result.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. So yeah, you start off with what's your result that you're looking for, your outcome. Something as well I forgot to mention, if you actually scroll down, there's a really great part at the bottom here. So one thing that you've not had a chance to see, Bally, because you didn't have a chance to see the spreadsheet, but describe the ideal outcome or results. What does success look or feel like? So once you've actually achieved those steps, or you've achieved that particular goal, what will that look like? So there's a little box at the bottom to think about that as well. I'll give you guys a couple of minutes to fill that bit in as well, or think something about what you want to write in that section. But yeah, I think this is the juicy bit for me. This is the kind of stuff I love. What is it going to look like? What will it feel like? What will it taste like? The taste of success. But yeah, there might be something that you get in mind. And you know, when you get really emotionally connected to that, you know, that visualization, there's this thing called IVVM, and I feel a bit sad now. I didn't actually include a slide for this, and I didn't include it in the spreadsheet either. But basically, it was something that the action coach went through, which it talks about idealization. I'm testing my memory now because I don't have my notes in front of me. Idealization, visualization, verbalization, and then the materialization. So idealization is having your thinking, your ideology behind it. What is it that you want? And coming from a perspective of thinking in that way, that you already have it, ideally that you have it. So you're thinking you've already got it. Then the visualization is this, what we're talking about. What does it look like? So is there a visual aspect to it when you've achieved it? What will it look like? For example, a health goal, you know, you might think, oh, I want to lose a stone, you know, well, in 90 days you can lose a lot more than that. But for example, I want to lose a stone. What does that look like? It looks like my clothes being looser on me. So you might think of a particular outfit of yours which is looser. You might think the image is yourself stepping on the scales and the scales reading a certain number. It might be that you know, you're sitting with somebody and you're visualizing yourself having a conversation and somebody saying, wow, you look amazing. What does that image look like? So that visualization is very important. Verbalization is what I translate as self-talk, but verbally saying your I ams. So I am this, acting as if and talking as if you already are that. And if somebody's finding it really hard to say that they already are that thing, just say I am in the process of. So, you know, if there's a certain, for myself, I could say I want to be a dress size, so I want to be a size 12, say. I am a size 12. Something like that might be really weird for me to think that I'm not a size 12. How can I say that? I'm in the process of becoming a size 12. That feels a lot easier to say than until you make it your reality. So verbalization, how are you talking to yourself? Talking as if you've already got the goal, talking as if you've already got that achievement, that success. What is it that you've achieved? What does it look like? What does it feel like? And then the materialization is, of course, again, the manifestation, what I would call the manifestation of achieving what you have, and what will it look like materially. So if it's a financial goal, it might be that there's a certain amount of money in your bank account all of a sudden. It might be that I'm just trying to think now, like for me it could be that something to do with I want to build up my YouTube channel. So a materialization of that will be an increase in followers and subscribers. So seeing a certain, again, it ties in with the visualization as well, but having a certain number in mind, that I can see 10,000 subscribers on my list or something, you know. So think to yourself, that IVVM is quite interesting to apply for your goals, and in this capacity as well. What does it look like? What does it feel like? And in NLP terms, it's using all your senses if you really want to get into that depth, but reserve that detail for the letter to yourself. So I'm just going to quickly touch on the other last two parts here now. So the next tab is discipline. So I've got a little quote for you guys here. Motivation gets you going, but discipline keeps you growing. So it's having the discipline is where I think people really have the problem of keeping on top of what they need to do. So there's two little tabs here. Again, you've got daily discipline required. Write down your list here for yourselves of what you feel your daily discipline should be. And then what's your daily commitment to that? So what are you committing to yourself to do that daily discipline? So my daily discipline could be, you know, creating some social media content every day. So the daily discipline required is going onto my social media and taking time out in my day to create that. So what's my daily commitment to make sure I've got time in my day and I've got X amount of time factored in to make sure I'm doing that. You know, then I'm more likely to stick to my commitment and build up that discipline, because the truth is that we always feel like we can't do something. It's all down to the neurology, you know, from NLP perspective, and neurology is all wired in a certain way because of all our habits and our routines and everything that we've been doing regularly. We're just so used to doing things in a certain way. When we want to start doing something new because we want to change, as Einstein says, if you keep doing the same things, you can't expect different results. That's insanity. So if you want to achieve a different result, you've got to do something differently. So in order to do it differently, you've got to start somewhere. So having that daily commitment and regularly doing it differently and being committed to doing it, building that discipline, that is what is the key to then making your new habit. You create your new habit, you'll start doing things where it naturally becomes this new way of doing something, and then before you know it, you'll hit a new comfort zone, and then you have to recreate yourself and get out of that comfort zone to the next growth stage. So take a couple of minutes out to do that. If anybody is far ahead, you may not be as far now, but if you're not, I'm just going to crack on for the sake of the time, and you can always go back to it, of course. But what I love is this bit of goal setting, a letter to your future self. Future starts today, not tomorrow. The best way to predict your future is to create it. So here is imagining in 90 days you've achieved your goal and you're writing a letter to yourself. So you're reading this as if you've already achieved it. So it's in the future but present tense. So I've got a little bit of a template here for yourself. So congratulations on your successful quarter. Hi, got a blank there. So just put your name in when you edit it and put it is now, and then again 90 days from now. So even if we just say, you know, let's just say it's 3 months from now. So we can stick to the 23rd. And so we'll say it's for 23rd of June. So it is now 23rd of June, 2020. And I am so happy and grateful that and you can put I am or I have or whatever comes to you naturally. So, you know, hi Suman, it's now 23rd of June, 2020. And I'm so happy and grateful that I have launched my YouTube channel and I have 10 videos on there. I've now achieved 20 subscribers and I'm feeling really excited. Start writing in here. You want to really write about that whole, what does it look like, what does it feel like, what does it sound like. There might be certain things you're doing, there's certain things you're feeling. So for me it would be like, I'm feeling really excited, I'm feeling really energetic, I'm feeling so motivated now to do the next stage of my business. You know, I'm really enjoying the process. I've grown so much, I feel so much more, you know, further with myself. I feel like I've really achieved something great. Whatever it is to yourself, write down what you can see, hear, feel, think at this point. What is it that you're saying to yourself? What are other people saying to you? And I'm like, again, back with my YouTube example, oh my God, I've got people commenting on my videos, telling me my videos are so brilliant, that my videos have changed their life. My videos are really making an impression on them. They're sharing my video with their family and friends. They're finding my content so useful that they're really, really benefiting from it. And I feel so blessed and grateful that I've been able to share this with other people. So talking about things like that, where you're really getting into the meaty, juicy part of achieving it and what does that feel like and look like, and get that written down. definitely take time out to do this, because this is something that I think is such an amazing thing to do. Doing it in writing is a lot more, I feel like there's a lot more connection you have with it, but typing it is still really good. What you can also do, which I think is a really nifty trick, you could write an email to yourself, and most email boxes will allow you to do this, where you can schedule an email to be sent at a later date. So schedule yourself to receive the email on the 23rd of June. And then when you receive that email and you read it, you're going to look at it and think, oh my gosh, and see what have you achieved by that point. Have you achieved those things? You might surprise yourself of how much you may have been in alignment and have achieved what you set out for yourself. Because once you've set that out, that's your intention, your subconscious mind will start chasing for it. The law of attraction will start working for you and want to bring it to you. So this is a really important task to do, and if you've not had a chance to do it now, definitely at some stage today, later on today, take time out to do this. I can't stress enough how much important this part of the whole goal setting is. This is actually more even important than doing the little tasks, because sometimes your subconscious mind is driven to do those little tasks because you've really connected to that future self. So if you guys want to check in with me and let me know where you are at, because very shortly I'm going to stop sharing this screen. I'm going to go back to my slides. I think there has been something shared in the chat as well. I'm just going to see if I can bring that up. Any other questions or thoughts so far from anyone? How are you guys feeling after writing your goals down and breaking them down?
It's not as easy as it sounds.
Yeah, some people find it a lot easier. Again, the more you do it, like we say with everything, the more you do something, the easier it gets, you know. So it is about, you know, doing it regularly and regularly reviewing it. But yeah, it's about, again, doing something different now, and doing something new is the way you're going to start being able to see changes. So yeah, it can seem a bit difficult to start with.
It's a shift in behavior, really, isn't it?
Yeah, but really taking that, I mean, even that commitment that you guys have given now to be on this call, you've got to give yourselves, you know, a pat on the back for that, and really think, this is something I'm doing to change something for myself, you know. So if nobody's got any questions at this point, I'm going to stop. Oh, I wasn't supposed to stop sharing my screen. I'll go back to my screen share, and I'll bring my slides back up. Right, so some checking in that I'm just going to do. So what we've gone over so far, we went over the recent achievements. That was the last quarter of things you've achieved so far and what you attribute it to, and if there's any further actions. Then we started setting the goals at the high level, and then we did the breakdown of the must achieve goal. We then touched on discipline, of how to have your daily commitment, and then I touched on the letter to your future self as well. Okay, so hopefully you guys have gone through all of those parts. That's just a bit of a reminder. I did already ask, but I'm just going to ask again if there's any questions so far. No? We're good? I think, but some people have just run off to get a drink for themselves or something. I know that Rich has just come down to get himself somewhere. So next step, these are things to think about now to keep your momentum going now and to keep yourself on track with your goals. So think about, or write down, or if you do want to share it in the meeting, you can do. What action will you take today to get your goals in action? From all that breakdown you've done and all those things that you've pulled apart now, what's one thing you're going to do and commit to doing today to get your goal in action? How are you going to ensure you're kept on track with that and accountable for achieving the action steps that are set out? So have a little think about that. Like I did touch on the whole having a coach and having somebody that holds you accountable really helps as an accountability partner. So have a little think about what are you going to do to ensure that you're on track and accountable for what you're achieving and your action steps. And how often will you be checking in with your progress? Do you want to weekly check in with yourself? Are you going to do it every 2 weeks? You know, you want to do it quite frequently. You don't want to do a monthly check-in. You do want to do it a little bit longer. I mean, a little bit shorter than a month. And what will you do if you find yourself veering off track? How are you going to get yourself back on track? Have a little think. Again, we touched on this at the beginning. When you're taking responsibility for your mindset, you're in charge. It's up to you. If the things ain't going the way you want, what is it that you could be doing differently? What do you need to tweak or change or revisit or review? And again, having a coach really, really helps with these types of things, where keeping you on track, keeping you in check. You have a little bit of a signpost almost with them. So have a little think about that. And also, biggest one, and this is the one that I love, how will you celebrate when you achieve your goal? So what are you going to do? You have that in mind. Again, your subconscious mind will be more driven towards receiving and achieving that goal for you if you really think about, this is the way I'm going to celebrate, this is what I'm going to do, and you know, this is what it's going to look like when I've achieved that. So just in close, I know you guys have mostly got my contact details anyways, but I've just got it out there anyway for the purpose of the recording. Got my contact number, and then I've also got my personal email on there, and then of course business email and business website. My website is still under construction, so that's definitely on my to-do list, on my tasks that I'm going to be working on, but that's there for now. So, and as you all know, I'm on the different social media platforms. I don't really use Twitter as much, but definitely, you know, Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn are my go-to social media pages. So unless anybody's got any more final thoughts or questions, or if you want to let me know what you think or how you felt about doing this activity today, feel free to share your thoughts.
It's really good, Sue. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was really good, and I think, you know, because, you know, I've achieved quite a lot recently, like buying a new house and stuff.
Oh yeah, you had some amazing achievements in your first quarter. I can imagine you was writing loads down.
So yeah, so I thought actually I've achieved quite a lot already, but then obviously I just put down things like my health, you know, going for my runs, doing more, losing weight. That's something that I've been.
And you know what's quite interesting, if you actually tap back into that accomplishment and recent achievements, there's a purpose behind it as well. Because what you really want to think is, and I'm just going to stop sharing the screen now, what you really want to think to yourself is, if I've achieved all that and I've been able to do that, what's stopping me from doing this? I need to apply that same thinking and that same, you know, again, why the attributes that you would have put down, those things that attribute to your new goals now.
That's so true. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. If you
I mean, is there something that's coming in your mind right now when I've just said that, of an attribute you've used for achieving something earlier in the year that you can use for your new goal?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. The way you said it like that just made me think. Actually,
anything you want to share with the group?
Not anything specific, sorry. It was just more of the...
It's getting you thinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
but if I think of anything, I'll let you know.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And Bali, Vanita, Mandeep are still on, Rish is still on. Do you have any thoughts?
I think for me, it's really just taught me how you've really just got to, like, for me, one of my what I would like to achieve is actually being more self-confident. As cliche as it sounds and as common as it is, I actually want to make sure that I'm actually fearless and not have fear, because that's something I always have. And as you know, I talk myself out of a lot of things. I doubt my ability.
You're not alone.
Yeah,
We're
exactly.
Like
so
you know,
really,
we have
common.
fear of random things, irrational fears that we've created over time.
Emotional fears,
You know, we'll say this very lightly, but the older we get, the more we've created more fears.
Yeah, it's definitely that. And I think for me, I just really want to have that fearless attitude that I can actually then take on anything and not be afraid of it, because I know if I was talking to a friend or another person, I will probably speak to them in the way you may speak to me. So I actually want to adopt that thinking for myself as well. and actually make sure
I
that,
think what
you
I'm
know,
hearing there is you want to change your self-talk to be more the way you
yes,
talk to others.
definitely, and take more command really, and make no apology about it really.
Yes, I love
So
it. That's
that's a
amazing.
biggie for me.
Yep, that's brilliant. I love that. I think with Vanita, I bet you she's got loads that she'd love to share, but I know that she's already told me that because of her computer system she's using, she's not able to speak and you know, let us know her thoughts. But I'm pretty sure she'll send me a message later on with her thoughts on this. And I know Mandeep shared something in the group as well. I was checking in before around, you know, a little screenshot. So that was really sweet. Thank you. I don't know if she's still online or if she's shut off, but Mandeep, if you are there, do you want to share any thoughts or anything that you've come across? If not, Rish, I know is there, eager to share, like a Care Bear.
Yeah, I just want to say, I think one of the great things about this 90-day lockdown is because realistically we're more than likely going to be in this position in 90 days, like in terms of like the whole UK. So this is a great time to set goals actually, because now we have the time on our hands that we can, like, if I didn't have this time on my hands at the moment because my hours are reduced at work and, you know, it's just a bit of a crazy situation, I would never have been able to like clear the back room, which is we've been
Yeah, I
meaning to
put
do.
that down as one of our achievements when I was doing it on Monday.
Yeah, and like the garden and everything really. I mean, the things that we put off for so long, this time we've got to use it as a positive, and this time has been invaluable because I've managed to do so many things on my list that I wasn't able to do before. So I'm really grateful for
And
that.
you know what's great about doing the list like that? You know how we have our dips and we have our moments where we think things are a bit crappy, things could be better. When is this going to end? You know, I'm missing going out, I'm missing meeting my family. But you know, when you reflect on what you've done and achieved, it makes you feel good. You get that boost.
Oh yeah,
Oh, you know
definitely.
what?
Yeah.
Actually, I've done this, and actually, I've also done this. And given the current climate, I've actually done this.
You feel pumped.
Yeah, and we have to take responsibility. Let's stop looking at that control about other people giving us a pump for something.
Yeah,
Where can we give ourselves that little
do it for
boost and that
ourselves.
pump?
Absolutely. It's like I said, it's about taking command and also having that attitude where you just want to go for it.
Yeah, definitely. Cool.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, on that note, the meeting's gone a lot over than I thought, but it's been amazing, and I feel like it should have helped you guys out now. And again, apply these principles to your other goals and your other thoughts that you might be having, different ways that it's made you think about things and yourselves and the reflection that you have. And like I say, it's multi-purpose. You can use it in many different ways. So go ahead and have fun, dissect it, experiment, and play around with it, and go and achieve those goals.
Can I just say thank you so much, Suman, for inviting me along. It's my first kind of meeting like this, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And you're such a wonderful host, and you're so inspirational.
You're very welcome. The pleasure's all mine. I'm the one who enjoys doing these things, so it's selfish, really, of why I really do these things.
No, well done, honey. It's really good, really engaging. Enjoyed that.
Okie dokie. On that note, I'm going to stop the recording, and then I'll